IHI Books presents Bertin's River, a novel by Jan Gary Cantav. Background music by Fula, featuring my late friend Tito, composer, singer, and guitarist.
Chapter 1. I am going home. I turned 60 last year, on a beautiful Sunday in the fall. At the time, I was living in Silver Spring, just outside Washington, D.C., a vibrant, colorful city. My birthday falls right at the peak of autumn, when everything around you, trees, birds, flowers, even people, bursts into a heavenly tapestry of color. Last year, no exception. The weather was gorgeous, the air was crisp and sweet, and the sky, it was that perfect blue, the kind you only see in pictures taken on the newest smartphones. But despite all the beauty around me, I just couldn't enjoy it. My mind was spinning with a single unsettling thought. I had turned 60. Just like that. In a blink. Gone were the 50s. Now, don't get me wrong, I was alive, I was healthy, and I should have felt grateful. But instead, I felt numb, shocked, even a little melancholic. I simply couldn't believe that I was already 60. Back in Haiti, where I grew up, the only people I knew who were 60 were either already 6 feet underground or packing their bags to get there. And yet, there I was, still youngish, still strong, but suddenly aware that I was living on borrowed time. I remember feeling something similar when I turned 50, but 60? 60 hit different. You have to be there to get it. I kept doing the math in my head like some kind of denial ritual. Subtract the birth year from the current year. Yeah, I guess I am really 60, I'd mutter to myself. Then I'd do it again, just in case. Funny enough, turning 59 hadn't bothered me one bit. But 60? That round number carried weight. So I avoided people. Didn't want to hear happy birthday from anyone. Each wish felt like a reminder, you're old now. That night, I went to bed early, just to end the day. And as always, I fell asleep the moment my head hit the pillow. But at exactly 5:04 a.m., I woke up. Or maybe I should say, a dream woke me up. In the dream, I was flying through the air and landed on a strange bridge. It looked like a hybrid, part giant ropes, part rusty metal. It was narrow, shaky, and crowded. People were walking in both directions. There were kids carrying big jars, heading to or from a fountain. And then I saw a tall man, dressed sharp, a little girl with the poise of a supermodel, a young woman, totally focused, walking like no one else was even there. And somehow I knew I was in Bertin, even though when I left Haiti no such bridge existed over the river. In the dream I was flying and walking, but both felt the same, like gliding, and no one noticed me. I waved, I smiled, nothing. It was like I was invisible. When I woke up, the image of that bridge stayed with me. It reminded me of Jacob's ladder, but horizontal. No angels, just people, struggling under the weight of poverty. For a moment I stayed in a half-sleep, holding on to the dream, trying to stay in it. It gave me a strange sense of control. But eventually, I had to get up. Now 60, and one day, I lay there, wondering what the rest of life might look like. Then the phone rang. WhatsApp call. Haitian area code. Didn't recognize the number. Probably not one of my cousins, only a few still call. I hesitated, then picked up. Hello. The voice on the other end. So familiar I didn't even have to think. George, I blurted out. And then came that laugh. That unmistakable, booming laugh. We hadn't spoken in 30 years, but suddenly we were talking like no time had passed at all. I told him I'd just turned 60. He laughed again, said I was just a kid. He'd hit 64 months earlier. At first, I wasn't going to mention the dream, but as we settled into conversation, I did. I told him about the bridge, how real it felt, how I knew it was in Bertin. He paused, then said, "There is a bridge there now." He described it, and sure enough, it matched my dream almost exactly. Was it coincidence or something else? We talked for about 15 minutes, a record for two men, then said our goodbyes, promising to stay in touch. That call changed something in me. So many of our friends were gone. Our teachers, most had passed. Even our school had been destroyed in the 2010 earthquake, Gudu Gudu, as we call it. It was like the web of my life was unraveling. People I loved were disappearing, and I hadn't even said goodbye. Since that night, that dream has come back. Again and again, always the same. The bridge, the people, the gliding sensation. It's like my brain took a picture of it and presses play every night. Over time, the idea of going back to Haiti, an idea I had spent decades trying to bury, started clawing its way back into my heart. I didn't just want to visit. I started thinking seriously about retiring there, to be close to the people I once knew, to speak Haitian Creole freely all day long, to ride in a tap-tap, surrounded by loud, joyful chatter. Kote lo jans gaye, ma pale palem, samwen chache momwen kapononse. Sorry, no translation. The dream kept coming back. Same time, same scene, same feeling. And for the first time since I left my homeland, I felt a real desire to return. Not just for a trip, for good. One morning, I even caught myself checking airline prices. I knew it didn't make sense. So many years had passed. There were easier places to retire. Then came January 12, 2015, 5 years since the earthquake. One of the TV networks aired a short segment. At the end, the host mentioned the American missionaries who died in Haiti. They showed their faces, young, smiling, full of life. I turned off the TV and cried. If they weren't afraid to go to Haiti to help, why was I so reluctant? In that moment, I knew. My retirement destination was set. A year passed. I kept the plan to myself, took early retirement, and left the U.S., just like I came, with hope and fear, ready for a new chapter. I stayed in a modest guest house at first, then moved into my little apartment in Bertin, $900 a year. I've never looked back. Haiti is alive, raw, unpredictable, bursting with stories, some good, some bad, some very bad, but never boring. In the States, life was routine. Same bus, same office, same everything. But here, every day is a surprise. Every day is a survival story. And the most powerful story I've found is the story of the river, the people around it, and what it means to me. This is that story. Chapter 2. The river, a busy place. If you've been to Bertin, you must know its river. The life of the city flows in and around it. The biggest stores owned by the few notables in the area spread along the riverside. All the local government offices but one share this tiny, crowded real estate, and Tizout, the only dancing ballroom in the area, is at the most northern part of the river, hidden from sight. The riverbank is also where most big and small street vendors aggregate to retail their merchandise every day of the week, except on Sundays. From sunrise to sunset, noisy small retailers do their best to sell everything and anything to everyone and anyone. Freshly baked cassava bread, secondhand books, cooking oil, motor oil, gasoline, bottled water, bagged water, peeled sugarcane, fruits, all kinds of fruits, live farm animals, and all sorts of fresh meat are but a few of the many items that are constantly flaunted to anyone who ventures too close to the marketplace. Now that Pepe, second-hand clothes from the U.S., has become our main source of fine and not-so-fine clothing for the poor and the less poor, a large portion of any street market displays pre-loved garments of all sizes, styles, and colors. They exude a fresh and exotic scent that only a nose that has ventured into America can fully understand and appreciate. Bertin is too poor a town to afford a playground for kids, but frankly, the riverside, with so much going on all day long, is a much more exciting place than the best amusement parks men can ever build. The river is where children of all ages come to meet their friends and play. They are all over the place. A day doesn't go by without a pack of loud girls jumping ropes or singing aloud as they hold hands in large circles and incessantly turn around as fast as their little feet allow. Sometimes they turn so fast that they get dizzy and fall to the ground. Judging by their intense noise and laughter, it is apparent that the girls, unlike boys, have a passion for jumping ropes. Is it fair to say that some girls not only show their skills, but also care to show their brightly colored underwear to the envious eyes of less fortunate girls who cannot even dream of wearing such a prized garment? Those wearing unflattering underwear jump cautiously to conceal their culotte cords, worn underwear. Depending on the day and time, some girls play with osselets, a game played with tiny joint bones of goats. Osselets is a French word that means small bones. There is nothing Harry Potterish about it. The game is a bit like Jack. It involves throwing one of 5 tiny bones in the air, flipping with the same hand another one on the floor to the appropriate side, and being fast enough to catch the airborne osselet before it hits the floor with the same hand. The bones have 4 distinct sides that we call do, cru, e, and s because of their shapes. Many girls and many more boys have never developed the necessary skills to be good at playing osselet. Some girls, the quiet ones, prefer playing with dolls. Rarely are the dolls real dolls people can purchase at a store. Most of the girls can only make their own. They create lovely dolls made of dry, hairy mango seeds. Properly clothed and combed, the mango dolls are as good as the plastic ones. A few privileged boys with good looks and an excellent reputation can sometimes join the girls during their playtime. No matter how innocent a boy may appear or how good his reputation might be, parents with girls never feel entirely comfortable when their daughters invite boys to play with them, especially when they are playing with dolls. They have this mom-pop-baby game where the girl plays mom, the boy plays dad, and the doll plays baby. For obvious reasons, the parents do not like mixing boys and girls in a game that may lead to other X-rated activities. Playing the mom-pop-baby game, although arguably dangerous, does not top the list of the most concerning games for parents, especially those with girls. Duet Lago Caché, hide and seek, which involves boys and girls playing together, especially at night, tops them all. It is common for parents to specifically warn their daughters not to play Lago Caché with boys. When a girl is caught playing Lago Caché with boys by their parents or reported by a trusted Diol Alele, tattleteller, such a girl should expect a well-deserved whipping and a lot of talk for a while. What could be wrong, you might ask, with such a peaceful game? In reality, some boys and girls, too advanced for their ages, too often decide to hide together far away from sight, in secret places to engage in a real mom-and-pop game. When boys play with boys only, they are more likely to play marbles, one of their best recreational activities at the street market. Soda bottle tops are suitable substitutes for marbles. Even small round rocks are sometimes used. Almost every boy enjoys another fun and active game called Lago Deliverance. It is very enjoyable. It opposes 2 teams. They take turns running after each other. When a runaway kid is caught, he is placed under the surveillance of a member of the opposite team in a makeshift jail, most of the time just a tree. Members of his team try to free him without being caught themselves. Lago Deliverance develops not just the body but also the mind. The best team is not always the one with the fastest runners. The team with the best strategy usually wins. Although soccer is the most popular recreational activity of Haitian kids and adults alike, it is rare to find a substantial group of kids playing soccer by the river. The reason is that it is too easy to lose the ball when it lands, or should I say waters, in the river. Nothing is worse than being forced to stop playing soccer abruptly when the ball has just become unavailable. This is probably one of the worst withdrawal syndromes known to mankind. Following Murphy's Law, the ball usually gets lost at the peak of the game. If you have never played a sport, you will never understand that in every game, there is a time when the adrenaline level is optimal, the heart beats at an optimal rate, the muscles are optimally fueled, the wind is behind your wings, the teams are all at the top of their games and in sync, and poof, the ball is lost or deflates. It is like nothing can compare. Losing the ball is bad and very depressing. Another exceptionally depressing situation happens when the ball is accidentally kicked too hard and ends up in the fenced backyard of a mean neighbor who happens to have in his yard an unleashed attack dog madly disturbed by the unidentified flying object, UFO, that just invaded its territory. It feels like the ball cries out to be rescued, but common sense mixed with previous experience advises letting the ball sit there for a while. It is certainly beyond agonizing. During instances like this, children hate all the dogs in the world and wish they could all die and go to dog hell and turn into carbonized hot dogs. Bertin used to be where just a few people lived in small huts erected here and there amongst lime trees and other small plants. Over the years, right under our nose, it has become an overpopulated town with hundreds of tiny houses leaning on each other and seemingly fighting for space. Bertin was not always known by this name. It was more a refuge for birds and other creatures. It was known as Nan Citron, a reminder that limes were by far the most abundant crop in the area. Literal translation of Nan Citron is in lemon. At that time, it was so unpopulated that it was where young and old who could not afford a motel would come to do their business day and night. Nowadays, Bertin, and this is not unique to Bertin, is overcrowded. There are too many small vendors, too much life, too much suffering, too much trash. The main asset of this poor town on the outskirts of Carrefour is the river. The absence of a functional bridge over the river makes it a considerable source of problems. The river isolates the people from the rest of the world. Try to send a bag of Pepe to an address in Bertin. Some cargo companies will deliver the box as promised. Others will tell you that they do not make deliveries in the area, or if they take your business, when they realize that the delivery house is on the other side of the river, you will be told, "My driver could not find your address." End of the story. The truth is they do not want their trucks to cross the river. The most notorious occupants of the riverside are not the kids, not even the vendors. The farm animals are. Pigs, dogs, cats, goats, and chickens roam freely in and around the river. They practically live there and fight all the time for territories. The pigs are very noticeable, since most outsiders would not expect to see them roaming all over. They particularly like to forage in the piles of trash that constitute permanent landmarks in the area. They are always after something to eat. It's like they never reach satiety. Their pungent smell and their unpleasant looks do not make them many friends. No one seems to have any love for an animal that feeds on trash, but for their owners, it is quite the opposite. The fact that pigs enjoy eating trash makes them easy and cheap to own and care for. Farmers love that. Dogs are picky. Their main delicacy is, by far, meat. Naturally, they set their tents under the tables of meat vendors. Although they can be very loud, they know to be very quiet when they take residence under a butcher's table in the hope that a piece of meat will fall off the table. They've learned that serious consequences may follow if their presence under the table becomes known. Their patience sometimes pays off. A small piece of meat or bone may defy inertia and miraculously roll off the table. Sakate sepochien, what's on the floor belongs to dogs. Those tiny pieces of meat disappear like they have never existed. One snap of the tongue, and they are gone. When more than one dog is under the table and the manna lands on the floor, they show their teeth and put on their best mad dog faces to intimidate each other. They sometimes engage in real fights, much to the amusement of the people around them. The fight intensifies if a considerably large piece of meat is at stake. No pun intended. The prize is too large to concede defeat, and even the weaker dog will put up a fight. In those circumstances, the most ardent fighter is not even the more robust dog, but rather the two-legged animal, the butcher, is. He joins the dogfight armed with a machete and attacks with no mercy. In those circumstances, no butcher would hesitate to chop a head, a leg, or whatever part of the dog is on the way. Many dogs in Bertin that have survived such an epic battle have large scars to show for it. Dogs are among the loudest of all the animals in Haiti. They run, bark, play, and fight all the time, and during the mating season they shamelessly make a spectacle of themselves. When that happens in the marketplace, it becomes an X-rated movie break for all to watch, even young kids. A quick warning to tourists or visitors not accustomed to our roam-free style of farming. Although the animals that commingle with us look wild to you, they are not. The streets and corridors of Bertin are no safaris. The pigs and the goats you see all day long on the pile of trash or in the bush are the properties of specific individuals residing in the neighborhood. Those animals know to go back to their owners every night. Please don't hunt them. Please don't eat them. They are the people's bank accounts, checking and savings, and even 401ks and retirement plans. At first sight, it is apparent that business is booming around the river, but if you take the time to talk to the merchants on the street mall, you will find that most of them complain that they are not making a profit, at least not enough to sustain their lives. They feel they are simply churning water in a vain attempt to make butter. They constantly complain that it is hard to make a living as a small reseller in this kind of environment. One of the problems is that too often, too many of them are pushing the exact same merchandise at the exact same price. The failing vendors would never agree that their lack of originality was at least partially responsible for their lack of success. Their sole and consistent argument is that, long ago, money climbed on the trees, hidden and out of reach. They might be right. Fresh fruits are the most abundant and sought-after items in the improvised marketplace. Their variety in color, shape, and smell contribute to the natural appeal of Bertin's street market. It is an accepted reality that fresh fruits and vegetables are fresh only in the morning. After noon, the scorching sun evaporates the freshness out of the veggies. There are days when the heat is so intense that even frequent watering cannot help. Fruits, veggies, and other items of the same kind lose their freshness. To stand a chance of being sold, they must be grossly discounted. The marché, farmer's market, would not be a reputable one without the belligerent, crowing roosters and the nonchalant-looking hens walking and pecking incessantly, one, the rooster, pursuing the other, the hen. In some areas, the smell of pigs and occasionally of pungent goats dominate. The only strong odor missing in the panoply of stench substances is fish. There's a large fish market a few blocks away outside Bertin, where people have been getting fish for generations. Everybody in Bertin knows where to get their fish, and so far, they have yet to show interest in establishing a fish business in the locality. Part of the marché is reserved for slaughtering large animals like cows, goats, and pigs. Some people claim that just looking at the corpses of these slaughtered animals, they hear their loud, echoing cries at the time of death. A few young guys sell cellular phones, jewelry, perfumes, and other items of the same vein, in complete dissonance with the rural aspect of the street market. The sellers and the buyers do not know if the items are authentic or fake. If the price is right, the item's authenticity makes little difference to the buyers. It is a constant battle for survival among the vendors. They wake up daily with two goals: outsmarting the competition and squeezing as much money as possible out of their customers. Most of them only have a tiny amount of whatever they are selling. A young girl may be selling a few candies in a large basket. A young boy may only have a few small bags of roasted peanuts, but they make even more noise than the more established vendors with assigned spots and a lot of stuff to sell. On both sides of the river, the makeshift stores are tightly aggregated. It is a continuous battle to get more space and better spots. Without any regulations, the self-appropriation of space is sometimes a cause for highly heated verbal confrontations that result from time to time in fistfights. On the other hand, neighboring businesses that learn a better and more effective way to share the opportunity offered by the open market do so harmoniously and over time develop lasting friendships and even more intimate relationships. What has stayed the same is the competition for the same dwindling customers with less and less money to spend. With all the noise, the brouhaha, the laughter, the singing, the occasional fight, the barking, dogs, Bertin's marketplace looks more like a street band in formation waiting for enough rien à faire, people with nothing better to do, to hit the road. After a very long absence, should I confess, after almost 3 decades away from my country, I was pleased to rediscover the raging noise of Bertin's river, the cadenced voice of the people, the wild lifestyle of the animals. Even domesticated ones spend most of their time alone on the streets. I was overly impressed by the constant sound of the flowing river. Frankly, I did not expect to see the river in the same path, with almost the same strength after so many years. A veil of misery had fallen on all the sectors of Haiti, especially after my departure, and I would not be surprised if rocks and sands filled the riverbed. To my delight, the river was still there, flowing and raging, maybe not as strong as in the old days, but it was still there to welcome me. Bertin's street market is undoubtedly a chaotic, loud, and trashy piece of land. However, since the first day I roamed alone through this maze, I noticed a few distinct vendors who brought a particular cachet. One of them that I feel compelled to describe is a tall gentleman selling medicinal potions. The people in the area know him by his nickname, Potolimia, a name that means lamp pole. Because of his tall stature, and because he spends most of his time standing still in sharp contrast with the rest of the occupants, who are constantly walking, talking, colliding with each other. On his back, Potolimia holds an old bag that used to be dark green, but is now more black than green, packed with about half a dozen 1-liter bottles containing concoctions whose compositions even he does not know with certainty. Each concoction is marketed as the cure for a long list of illnesses. If you were to believe his sales pitch, his secret medicines can treat or at least alleviate any disease with a name under the sun. Potolimia's marketing style is unique. Contrary to the yelling vendors who want you to hear from miles away that their products are the best, he stands quietly, I could even say absently, in one place. Sometimes, people wonder what he must be thinking, or if he is at all thinking. Occasionally, a customer would approach him, and he would very politely inquire about the symptoms and recommend 1 or 2 doses of his arsenal. If, after a long time, nobody shows interest in his product, he starts singing a song that essentially lets the people know that he is leaving, and it is their loss if they let him go without buying the medicines that could cure their sicknesses. The song's rough translation could be, I'm leaving, why should I care for you? You dissed my medicines, it's your problem, not mine. He will sing it over and over until someone, tired of hearing his annoying voice, decides to buy. Believe it or not, his strategy almost always works. Another iconic vendor in Bertin is not even selling anything concrete. He offers a service equivalent to a mobile movie theater, except that he is not playing real movies. All he has to offer are a few still images children and some adults pay to see through his Viewmaster, a small binocular type of viewer that lets the client enjoy high-quality images. For 1 Haitian gourd, the customer gets a chance to enjoy many great pictures. The landing on the moon of Apollo 11 is by far the most advertised picture in his collection. One of my many new friends told me once that he has been in this business for many years. He will keep making a living showing the same pictures repeatedly as long as enough curious people are willing to keep him in business. This man unknowingly has probably invented the pay-per-view business model. I was genuinely impressed to realize that this gentleman was still succeeding at this type of business in the era of cellular phones and other electronic gadgets containing thousands of crisp, beautiful, and exotic pictures. But again, this is Bertin. Chapter 3, River of Mystery. During daytime, Bertin's river is just a river like every other river. Its only distinction is the abundant life that swirls around it, but at night, it is a completely different animal, if you choose to believe hearsay. According to most of the people I talk to in Bertin, the belief is that around midnight, the river is more than a stream of water hurting itself against the rocks, rushing to the insatiable ocean. At night, it turns alive, literally, especially on the days when the moon turns its back to us and leaves us in pitch darkness, or the complete opposite, when the moon is full and looks like a spy in our sky. The river has a life of its own. It has power to do and to undo. I have been told countless stories about this river, some more incredible than others, some really incredibly incredible. And I wish I could report that I have been able to verify that the stories are either true or false. In all honesty, I have not even tried to do so. How do you verify that a river can swallow people alive, keep them for many years underwater, and just one day decides to spit them out to dry land? How do you verify that? How do you verify that the river can protect the weak against bullies? How do you verify that people who express profound and sincere respect untoward the river get rewarded? How do you verify that the river maintains a regular relationship with some privileged people in Bertin, and from time to time reveals to them, in their dreams, the Borlettes, Haitian Lotto, grand prize winning numbers? At first, I could not quite understand if the locals were joking or serious when they were telling me about their famous river. When you live for too long in a country like the US, where everything seems to follow a logical pattern, for example, the bus comes every day at almost the same time, unless there is an accident on its route, you are not prepared to believe stories about a river that has magical powers. I have been living in Bertin for quite some time, and have had a chance to see with my own eyes, hear with my own ears, and experience in my own life the effect of the river so much that I feel compelled to share the story. No, I have not seen people disappearing in the river, maybe because I never had such grandiose expectations, but as is often said, I have seen a thing or two. My first experience with the river happened about 2 or 3 weeks after I decided to live in Bertin. I was with Eli, a friend I met in school when I was a teenager. We paid a visit to George, a common friend, and we were having so much fun at George's place that it was late and very dark when we left to go to our respective homes. The moon was somewhere behind a monstrous dark cloud and could hardly illuminate our path. We walked along the riverside for at least 10 minutes. In the dark and silent night, the river had a particularly melodious and rhythmic sound. Those who are used to Haitian roots music would probably compare its sound to yanvalu, a flowing, dancing, waving type of music very close to the well-known European waltz. Unconsciously, I started humming a monotonous song, mimicking the sound of the flowing water. I hum a lot when I am nervous. I realized what I was humming when Eli joined the chorus. Our voices harmonized well with each other and with the sound of the river in the background. Our improvised song created a sublime moment where time and space melted into one large blur of wonderful nothingness. I jolted out to the real world when Eli stopped humming and said, "You know." He waited a little bit to get my attention and started again. "You know, the river has special abilities." I did not answer and continued humming, but the mesmerizing effect of the moment dissipated. He continued, "When it has something important to tell us, the river talks to us. It can hear us too." "Hum?" I replied, a bit perplexed. But I did not say more. I am more of a skeptical type of person, but somehow, at the same time, very gullible. I didn't know if he was serious or simply joking. The tone of his voice indicated that he was serious, but what he was saying was so far-fetched that I was confused and did not know what to say. I wanted to tell him that rivers cannot talk. But it was dark. We were walking alone. I had not met Eli for so many years. Who knows? My Haitian ancestry took over and whispered to my ear to not defy him in the middle of the night. One never knows. We kept walking in locked steps, and our steps naturally followed the cadence of the river. I could see in the corner of my eye that from time to time Eli was looking at me with a perplexed look on his face. He knows me well. He knows that I always have an opinion about almost everything. He was waiting for me to offer my comment about what he just said. The fact that this time I chose to simply look away and ignore him made him feel a little nervous. We kept on walking. The roar of the river got a little louder for a few seconds, as if it were siding with Eli. As we approached the part of the river where we had to cross to go to our destinations, without saying a word, Eli stopped, bent down and removed his shoes. I did the same. He pulled up the legs of his pants. I did the same without questioning him. "We're going to cross in the river," he said, accentuating on the "in" word. "Yeah," I replied. I added, "I got you," as to letting him know that I understood what was going on. I was more and more confused. I did not ask why we were not using the small bridge like we do every day during daytime. It did not make any sense that we would be stepping in the cold water so late at night when, a few steps away, the bridge was just looking down at us. During daytime, at any moment, there are a lot of people crossing this small bridge. Seeing its empty silhouette against the dark sky made it look like a ghost of some sort. It looked like a dinosaur from ancient times. I never liked to step in the river even during the day. It was always too cold. Not using the bridge did not make any sense to me. The river that passes by Bertin is called Rivière Froide. This is French for cold river, and as expected, it was even colder at night. Eli decided that we are going to walk in the river, so I will. I didn't have much choice. He became like a guide for me. That's the price one must pay for leaving their country for so many long years. Now that I was back to enjoy my retirement years, I had to learn everything again, an alien in my own birthplace. The river got louder and louder as we walked through it. The degree of turbulence that our legs created was quite surprising. The noise was amplified at least threefold. The melodic quality of its sound that we perceived when we were walking along its side was gone. It became almost cacophonic and more aggressive. Halfway through the crossing, I instinctively turned towards the bridge as I was more and more wishing to be up there instead of fighting the cold and merciless water. I could only see the bridge's silhouette. In the dark, it looked even more like an out-of-this-world, unidentified object. It looked like a relic from another civilization. Maybe some alien beings left it behind during the time they were building pyramids elsewhere on Earth. When I turned a second time to get a better look at the bridge, Eli promptly grabbed my face and turned my head away, preventing me from staring too long at it. At this point, I realized that the whole time, Eli had made a conscious effort to avoid looking in the direction of the bridge. Here I was, in the middle of the night, walking in a river with special powers, a river that, according to my friend and guide, could talk to me, and right above my head, a ghostly bridge that I am not supposed to look at. Every single hair I still have left on my head and on my back raised at once. We continued our slow walk in the cold water, fighting the current. I could hear Eli mumbling an unintelligible phrase. Was he asking permission to be in the water at such a late time? Was he simply scared? I did not ask him what his mumbling was about. I never will. On the other side of the river, we fixed our pants and wore our shoes after drying our feet with a piece of ripped towel Eli had in his back pocket. We did not talk too much during the last leg of our trip, mostly because we took a shortcut. We were walking in tight corridors, putting us so close to the houses that we could hear snoring and other very identifiable noises that forced us to silently chuckle. We had to be as stealthy as possible, as it was already past midnight. When we arrived at my place, a very humble house on top of a hill, we shook hands and he left to go to his own domicile, an even humbler place at the bottom of the hill. As his silhouette disappeared behind the bush, I whispered to myself, "Tomorrow I will ask you what kind of things the river hears." "Okay," he replied to my surprise. He wasn't supposed to hear me. He was already too far. Maybe it's true. Maybe the river can hear. Or maybe my friend Eli is quite a different person at night. Or maybe it's me losing my mind. That night I went to bed very quickly after only washing my hands and my face. I didn't even take the time to brush my teeth. I simply shook some water in my mouth. I wasn't in the mood to brush my teeth. It was very late, and I wanted to be in bed as soon as possible. Over and over, I played back in my head what had just happened. None of it made sense to me. I have known my friend Eli for a long time. I never knew that he too held such strange beliefs. I woke up the morning after with a weird sensation that I had a dream about the river, but I could not remember the slightest detail. Was I with my friend Eli? Was I alone? Was the river calm or agitated? I could not recall. As I was eating breakfast, a good spicy fried egg on bread I prepared for myself. The monotonous song that I was humming last night came back to me. I started humming again. It did not sound the same. I failed to recreate last night's special moment. The complicity of the voice of the river and the soothing and reverberating silence of the night were lacking. Chapter 4. Kids at Work. If some children come to the river to play, many more instead come to work. Some of them work alongside their parents, but there are quite a few who conduct businesses alone, without any adult supervision. It is common to see children as young as 6 years old diligently helping their parents run the family small retail store. They wash, they scrap, they go get change when necessary, and more importantly, they learn by watching how to run their own businesses when they grow up. Donkeys have children in order to rest their backs, is one of our many Haitian proverbs. It is easy to see that this statement is true in Bertin. Professional clothes cleaners, women who do other people's laundry for a small amount of money, are very hard workers. There are quite a few in Bertin. They usually take their small kids with them to the river to play and to help. The job starts with the collection of the dirty clothes at the home of the customer. Rare clients are nice enough to save their cleaners a trip and take their dirty clothes to them. Even when the client wants to do so, often the laundry lady refuses and prefers to be the one to make the pickup. The unspoken and unwritten rule firmly stating that gran neg pa ale ka malere, se malere ki ale ke gran neg. Rich people do not go to poor people's homes. It's supposed to be the other way around, is not just a saying, it is rather a reality. Pickup time is a very important part of the transaction, and only a child deemed ready to start her own cleaner's business would be allowed to represent the parent. As a rule, the pieces of garment are scrupulously counted under the vigilant eye of both client and cleaner. If any disagreement occurs at the end of the count, an immediate recount is done to ensure that both parties agree on the number. A small amount of money serving as a deposit is paid at the time of collection. In return, the cleaner promises to return the clothes at a certain date and time. The kids who accompany their moms on laundry day spend most of their time in the water. They carry big bags of clothes, sheet covers. They hang wet clothes to dry in the sun, fold and do other chores. When they are strong enough, they help in a process, whereas the clothes, especially the white ones, are struck many times by a flat piece of wood called batwil. This process effectively extracts all kinds of residues that might be too hard to clean with bare hands. It takes strength and know-how to do it well and has its own caveat. If you accidentally hit and break a button, you have a small crisis in your hand. The children are particularly useful when the river decides to steal the soap or a piece of clothing. They are the only ones capable of running fast enough in the speedy waters to catch the garment before it's gone for good. Losing a piece that someone is paying you to wash is a very serious breach of contract, so serious that you might even lose a lot of money and/or the client. The children who work alone typically are small vendors. Their parents or their masters prepare big baskets full of produces for them to sell. Homemade candies, homemade cookies, mangoes, avocados, etc. Usually they have an apron with a large pocket up front to put the sales money, and a rolled cloth, troquette, serves as a cushion between the load and their head. Those little kids are let loose in the city and must learn very fast to avoid the roads where unleashed mad dogs chase them away. They also must stay away from those corridors where big silly kids, and sometimes even adults, try to steal from them. Worse, they must quickly learn to avoid the narrow corridors where perverts who could be their grandpas try to slide their hands under their skirts. Most of the kids head to the river where the fun and the clients are. It is generally understood that the kids are not to come back home before every single item is sold. Maurice Sixto, one of the greatest storytellers of our time, left us with many stories to enjoy for generations. One of his most acclaimed works depicts the plight of Centanise, a young country girl placed by her father as a servant in Port-au-Prince after her mom passed away. The poor girl was constantly abused and was practically enslaved by the lady of the house. Part of Centanise's job description was to serve as a street vendor in the afternoon. Unfortunately, there are still many Centanese in Bertin, boys and girls alike. They roam in the streets apparently happy, apparently unaware that other kids their age have time to play, time to have fun, time to go to school, time to have a future, time to be kids. They crisscross our roads, carrying heavy baskets on their heads. They are selling bottled water when they themselves are thirsty. They are selling peanuts when they themselves are hungry and can only maliciously steal a few nuts from the bags their masters have an exact count of. Some of them are shoeless, some wear footwear that used to be shoes many years ago. There are so many of them in our towns that they have become invisible. As a newcomer in Bertin, I could not help being touched by seeing so many small children having to live like adults. I once helped a child load a large plastic bottle full of water on her head. It was so heavy that I almost lost my balance. I am still wondering where these malnourished kids find the strength to walk for so long, carrying so much weight on their heads. As we said before, donkeys have children to rest their backs, but too often those children are placed in the care of others who do not have the best interest of those kids. Donkeys of low socioeconomic status often have children to help other donkeys, not them, rest their backs.
Background music by Fula, featuring my late friend Tito, composer, singer, and guitarist.
End of part 1.